Well, hello, and welcome to part 4 of my 5-part series on the Two Knights Checkmate. And if you've already made it through the first 3 parts, well, thank you very much for watching. And kudos to you because, after that 3rd drill, I think things start to get a little bit, hairy. And it's going to get a little bit worse with today's drill, because we're going to introduce yet another maneuver, which we may even have to combine with the one that we learned in drill number 3. So drill number 3, we called it Let's Circle Back, and that was about triangulating, to regain the opposition, and then, just rearrange the pieces in a formation where now white is to move, in the starting position rather than black, and and then the mate will just flow after that. And we're looking usually for like a mate in 5, I think is the magic number. Okay. So today we're going to have another really tricky position, which I found on a YouTube video that was a few years old, maybe about 4 years old. And so it was Smarty Pants Chess who put up that video, and I think it was called Beginner's Guide, to the Two-Knight Checkmate. So I really, really liked his position as soon as I saw it. And, you might say, wow, what's so special about it? Because don't they all look the same? Don't they all have a knight blocking a pawn? And then they have, a typical configuration, for, trapping the king. And yes, you'd be right about that. Now, there is a feature, though, here that, warrants some little bit of discussion. Okay. And let's start with the evaluation first of all. All right. So the evaluation is plus 0.7 for white, and I think I'm accustomed to seeing the team that has the 2 knights should have something like a 6 or a 7. Plus 6 or 7 evaluation. All right, if if the computer sees that you're going to win, and so right off the bat, I look at this, I go, oh, there's a problem. So they've gone to the depth 20 with Stockfish 16 light. Okay, I don't know what that means actually, but so right now, the computer's not really seeing a anything positive for the white side. All right, and that's going to change, because it's black to move, and after black makes its move, I think the whole evaluation will change. Now, drill number 4, I've given it a title as well. I call it the Switcheroo, and what I want to say about this position that Smarty Pants Chess has given us, is that, this time we have a knight pawn, all right, the G pawn, right, which is on G3. And in our first 3 drills, I think you remember, we had rook pawn on H4. All right, and then I'm not sure, I can't recall now if I mentioned about this thing called the Troitsky line. But anyway, the Troitsky line, I think it's important here, this is pointed out, that there are 4 pawns, let's call it, the A pawn, the D pawn, the E pawn, and the H pawn, which need to be blocked at the 4th rank. Okay, can be blocked earlier, but if you block them later than the 4th rank, like further down the board is what I'm getting at, then you run into some problems, okay? In theory, you can't force the mate, all right, against the best defense. The nice thing is, nobody's good at defending this, so you'll always have practical chances to win, and we get an example right here, okay? Now, the remaining pawns, okay, so B and C, I can never remember if I get these things right. I sometimes draw the diagonal wrong, but I think it's actually this way, okay? So it's like that, and okay, this is huge. So technically, the G pawn is supposed to be blocked. Seems to me up at G6, and I mean you can look that one up. Like I said, sometimes I draw the diagonals, this way. And, anyway, the whole thing maybe doesn't really matter so much, but let's just put it this way. Yeah, just to put it into perspective. Suppose we were supposed to have our knight at G5, all right? But now, look at where we are. Like, this guy has got his pawn, 3 squares below the so-called cutoff line, right? And, kudos to our knight on G2 for having the wherewithal to make a last-ditch effort to stop that pawn, and he he did a good job because we managed to get the black king trapped in the correct corner. So this quadrant over here, all right, is where you can checkmate with that G pawn. Advanced down to G3. All right, but boy, it's a bit hairy. So we have to have absolute perfect conditions, and we don't have that right now, and that's what our, evaluation is telling us. All right, and so I'm going to engage the computer here. All right, and black will make its move. All right, and now the eval bar has shot up to 7.5. So suddenly things, which is really odd because black only had that one move, right? So I don't understand why the computer hadn't factored that in, unless the computer didn't know whose move it was to begin with until I triggered it, right? So yeah, honestly. I don't even know how much you can trust some of these evaluations. Okay, so what is the problem that we need to correct here in order to actually get this eval bar over here, which I don't think you can see, but every now and then I guess you get a small glimpse of it. I deliberately hide it anyways from view. But anyway, it says plus 7.5, and we want to get that to say something like a mate in 18 or 19, some big number, which would give me a little bit more confidence that this thing is worth pursuing, right? And so the problem that we have is that we can't checkmate with our knight and our king, in this formation. Let's call it that. We need it in the other formation. And that would mean, sliding the king over to there, which is an easy move for the king. Sliding over the knight, to D3, that takes 2 moves, okay, here and there. A lot less easy to do. It's so easy to, goof it up, and then, the black king escapes, and off he goes, and, you've spoiled your you truly spoiled your chance for victory, because I would imagine that it took well over 30 moves to get that king cornered over here anyway, and so you're just not going to be able to do it. You'll run out of moves according to the 50 move rule, right? So this technique, you actually have to learn it properly, but just to demonstrate right off the bat that this is a losing position for white, is our check would be like 3 moves away, And the king is not forced to move, by the way, right? And the pawn will only have to move two steps, right, to queen. So let's just, make the first move, and boom, I see that the val bar has gone to 0.00. All right, and the only way out now for us is just to capture that pawn, okay, and accept that we're not going to win the game, but at least we're not going to lose it, because if that thing queens, yeah, forget it, okay. And by the way, if I didn't capture that pawn and I said, you know what, I think I can still do this, I got a check here, okay. All right, so you stalemated, right, and now we go here and to there, right, that's our two-move checkmate. Of course, he just pins the knight. It's game over for us. So, all right, so now that we know that we do have a dilemma that needs to be corrected here, now we need to know how. How do we do it? As I said, though, we got to get the king over there, and he's being blocked by this guy, all right? And where was that king? So in the starting position, the king was here. What did we learn, okay, in the last lesson? We learned to circle back, right? I think the correct term is called triangulate, but let's, it's a popular expression nowadays. Let's circle back, So anyway, that's what I decided to use. And thanks to Smarty Pants Chess, okay, whose video I'm going to link at the end of this video here, because that's a pretty good one, to have a look at. So yeah, thanks to him, I now have a position that I want to use for drill number 4, because I think this one really incorporates exactly what I'm looking for. Something that's doable, but something that's not easily doable, especially for somebody who, even if I told you what you needed to do, okay, which is, well, you got to, just switch these pieces around to these two squares, okay, so just go do it. Yeah, how you can do that, right? You know what, you got to have like a demonstration for that, like just to solve a puzzle. Here's a puzzle, solve it. And you gotta, the beauty of this one is you now have to incorporate what you actually learned in my third drill, all right, which is the circle back. I think I actually have to employ it twice in here, all right. I think we have to circle back once just to be able to do the switcheroo, and then we have to circle back again to put the king right back to where we want him, which is, I think, on A1. All right, so that is tedium, okay? That is tedium, but it's doable, all right, so how do we, do you remember how we do this? Okay, so for the circle back, we go to that square there, the C3 one. So we snuggle up against the knight, all right? And yeah, he's got two squares he can go to, right? Don't forget, the knight does his job, blocking off that square. All right, so we just go over here. We don't want that guy drifting any further along the board there. And here's the trick, though, right? I know it's always tempting to just go like there, right? But nope, you gotta take the opposition, okay, and maintain it. All right, now we got him down here because, okay, circle back, we go to that square, but the switcheroo, okay, requires us to go to this square. So we're going to go to B3, all right, and it's going to feel a little bit hairy, all right. You're going to feel a little bit uneasy because we've got everything so well under control, and now I just like, what have I done? All right, I just opened up a valve here, and this guy is going to be able to make a run. All right, so remember, it's two moves for the knight, right, to get him to his home, his new home, all right? And this beautiful move right here, okay, will attack and control d1, right? And then that gives us just enough time, all right, to slide over, all right, and guard the d2 square with the king. And it just seems to hold together. It just barely holds together, but it holds together. And it's very reminiscent, I think, of what we have to do in the bishop and knight, checkmate drill, right? With the, that thematic W move and so on. And of course we have an extra piece, right? We have that bishop that allows us, to control some squares as well, right? And all three of them have to participate in that one for some reason. But anyway, right here, we're actually gonna get along fine with just these two guys. Okay, so now slide them over. All right, so he's leaving the square, right? He's leaving b3, which is where we really want him, but he has no choice. Now, okay, we plant the knight, and yeah, look at that, eh? Like, isn't that nice? Okay, that's really, really nice. Of course, he could have gone up to there, right? And we'd go here. And we're actually going to go there anyways, all right? Because my problem is that we want to, what did I say? Circle back and have the opposition, all right? Maintain it, all right, and there it is. Yeah, so I said that we wanted him on A1, so we've got him on A1. And now the eval bar is showing, you might be able to see a 5 there, so M5. So that is, yeah, that's the magic number. So you have perfectly set it up now. If the king had been in B1, no. I mean, I think we can analyze that later, but for now, let's just make sure we figure this part out right. You really don't want to get this wrong. So do we go down here, up here? You see our job, right? Don't forget the blockader's job is always to stalemate the king. Now he may throw in a check or two. That's sometimes kind of optional with the king. He can choose whether he wants to move his pawn or whether he wants to move his king. And but at the end of the day, he needs to deny that b1 square. The c1 is already denied. That will stalemate him and free up the other knight then for the 2-move checkmate, right? So we need 3 moves to take that square. So if you can find 3 moves, all right, then you might as well make them. So 1, okay, 2, and 3. So we got a check. So that guy will hold off getting a queen for 1 more move. All right, and now we map out the mate, the 2-move checkmate, right? So here comes the queen. All right, and thankfully, we're not on the first rank with this checkmate, huh? So there we go. And that's 18 moves. So I think I said at the beginning we need to look for a number something like 18 or 19, right? That would, be a feel-good number. That yes, the mate is possible, and that we just have to play this shell game, right? All right, so we'll do this one more time because when we do that switcheroo move, you'll probably notice that black has, a couple of options that has two options, I think he's sitting on B1, right? So he could move to C1, or he could move back, right, to A1. Now, I think the hardest one, the one that gives you the highest blood pressure is when he slides over to C1 and it's like, oh no, he's getting away. When he retreats to A1, you think, oh wow, this looks easy, right? And yeah, I think that's true. And well, we'll see if he does it. Okay, so what do? Step one, we circle back. All right, we can't get in here. So step one, just to recap, we circle back. Okay, we go down here. And don't forget, right? Put your king in opposition there. All right, then maintain it. All right, until you get to this point. Then you start the switcheroo. And let's see if he goes to A1 this time after we move the knight. He goes to C1. All right, so if he did go there, well, you just slide your knight over. There's no worries, right? The king's not going away. You actually finished, and then you just do the circle back, all right? You do the triangulation. Now here, though, this requires a couple extra moves, right? So there we go. We go there. And this time you slid here. And it's so tempting, right, to just, close off that square. But you do close off the ace-3 square, but you do it up here. All right. Take the opposition. Okay. Maintain that opposition. All right. So if he had gone there, this is where you go, right? So just stick with him. You got to be very meticulous, all right, with that part. And now you got him right where you want him, and just let loose with this knight. Okay, his job is done. His job is done. Activate your second knight. Make sure you get this right. Yeah, and then you got your checkmate. That feels good, eh? You can finally breathe a little. Okay, so I hope you're starting to appreciate what's involved with deceptively simple looking position like that. I think if somebody plunked that position down on a board for you and said find the mate in 18, you would go, what? Are you nuts? Mate in 18? Okay, so you see how we've traveled along this road so far. First drill was only a mate in 3. Second one was mate in 5. Then I think it was a mate in 11 because we had to do the circle back. So 11 or 12, right? And now we came to a position where we had no business, all right? We had no business having an opportunity to get a checkmate. But now you have the tools, all right, to salvage a checkmate from a position that should have been at best a draw, all right? Okay, so that's the end of part 4. And our final chapter, part 5. If you hang in there, and right to the end, drill number 5, I've already got the title for that one. It's based on a position that I have created from the iPad Easy checkmate drill for 2 knights. They have 2, right? They have an advanced one, which I'm not using. I think it's just way too much, okay, for, what I'm envisioning for 5 drills here. I want everything to be doable. And believe me, I think the drill number 5, okay, is going to be a reprieve. Okay, we've already gone through 3 and 4, which I think has placed enough burden on us, okay, with these maneuvers that we had to learn. And so, the drill number 5 is actually just for fun. So it's a position where there are 2 solutions, and if you have this guy, maximum 3200, CPU 25 running like we have right now, it'll only do the one. All right, because so one solution is a quick one. That's fantastic. But the one that Stockfish is going to go for, all it does is it just takes a few more moves, so it just prolongs the agony, but it's very simple. So both are actually quite simple, the two solutions, and they're fun. But what's really fun is the title. Okay, I call it the Temple of Doom, and so you'll want to tune into that video just to find out. Wait a sec, what do you mean, Temple of Doom? You got to see it to believe it. All right, so that's it for this one, and hopefully we'll see you in part 5. Thanks for watching, and stay cool as always.